Hi everyone, it's nice to be here once again. For those who do not know me, my name is Obo Joseph. I'm a boardroom specialist, and today is another episode of the Boardroom series. Some thoughts have been going through my mind recently about why a lot of businesses actually stay small, why businesses cannot actually scale, and why the valuation of several businesses, instead of having a spiral upward, is actually having a dwindling downward, whatever that means. I guess you all understand what I'm trying to say. So the point basically is, why do some companies do well and why do others not do so well? There is only so much little that you can actually do all by yourself. I've seen instances where a lot of companies, maybe smaller companies, privately owned companies, startups, companies run by founders only, CEO, the boss manager, the boss COO, the boss CFO, all of those attributes all in one person. I even know of a lot of scenarios where people register even limited liability companies where they need to have at least, even though presently now you can actually register a limited liability company with just one director. But we have scenarios where family member, you register a limited liability company, you put all your cousins, your in-laws, your grandparents as directors, but at the end of the day, it's just a one-man shot, one man calling all the shots. You might do well, you might be able to pay salaries, you might be able to get by, but there is that cutting edge that having a formally constituted board would actually give to you in terms of how far your company can go and also the valuation of your company. It has been said that companies without a board, companies without any advisory board structure that brings in specialists, professionals, consultants, people who have held their turf in certain areas of business, companies that do not have those kinds of people supporting them, driving them on the strategic front, on the business front, on the income front, on the turnover front, on the profit front. People come with different skill sets, and if you are able to identify the skill sets that is lacking within your company in terms of the management, you can be able to make up for that in terms of the board. People who are joining you on your board, your independent board basically, and all that. So it has come to our knowledge that companies that infuse a lot of people, a lot of specialists and all that, as I've mentioned earlier, those companies do better. They do a whole lot better than companies that just, they run on the foil of I'm courageous, I have self-esteem, I understand this business, I've been in this business for the past 25 years, I know everything around the business. But you forget that you have a hindsight, like there's foresight, there's hindsight. You might not be able to see behind you. And also you are unable to pick or learn from the experiences of a lot of individuals who have actually gone ahead. And also, what are some of these reasons? It could be the reason of control. Oh my God, people love control. People want to be the alpha and the omega of their business. They want to be in total charge. They are the driver. They are the receptionist, they are the media man, they are the CFO, they are the CEO, they are the COO. In fact, they are everything, forgetting even that the structure that they've actually used to start up that business is actually a structure that gives room for multiple infusion of ideas into that particular business. And when I'm actually speaking right now, I'm not talking about people who are running a business name structure. Even though if you have a business name structure, for the sake of using the word board, you might not necessarily be able to use that word. Even if you do, professionally speaking, I'm talking to companies. So if you have a business name, you can actually have advisors. You understand? I'm not talking of mentors. A lot of people, they mix up this whole thing and they try not to formalize the relationship. One, because they want control. Two, because they don't want to pay. Because if you want to go the formal route, if you want to get people involved, you want to bring professionals on board, at least one of the things you would be paying, you'll be paying for your boardroom, your board sittings. You'll be paying a sitting allowance. That sitting allowance can be negotiated, depending on the strength and the time and the value that you actually place on the individuals that you are bringing. You might be paying a sitting allowance. Another thing that you might also be paying, You might be paying a yearly freebie. I don't want to call it a freebie because people have actually worked for it. You can be paying a yearly sum just to appreciate the people you have brought on board to actually support you in terms of the strategy formulation or the strategy formation that the management team of that company actually requires to be able to do all the things that they will be doing year long. So if, for example, your company has made a profit of, let's say, about 50 million, for example, then you have to, maybe you are paying 13th month to your staff to appreciate them. Of course, you are paying your taxes. Then maybe at the end of the day, you have like another 30 million and you need maybe about 20 million to jumpstart the next year. Then you also have to reinvest maybe another 5-7 million. If you pull out maybe about $1.5 million or even 2 million to say, this board, I really appreciate you guys. You guys have been awesome. Because of your awesomeness and the results that you've been able to assist the company to drive. This is an extra package just to say thank you, great job, well done, and all that. And in formalizing that whole process, it's important to have an advisory board agreement. A lot of people, they want people to remain on the mentor zone. This whole mentorship thing and all that. People, maybe once in a while, they call the mentor, okay, this blah, 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 blah. What do you think? The mentor on the spot is telling you what he thinks, not necessarily because he has been able to diagnose a lot of things that the business is actually doing, but he still has to share some form of value. But I'm not talking of a value that is coming from a stranded point of view. I'm talking about value that is infused on the basis of the communication of diverse players in different fields. Imagine you have a total team. You have somebody who has an idea of investment. You have somebody who has an idea of structuring of companies, compliance-related issues. Somebody who is a profit guru. He knows how to look at issues surrounding competitive advantage, for example, and how a company can deploy its competitive advantage to make more profit. So if you bring a team and you are infusing that team, people with different knowledge backgrounds, you bring them up on ground. And of course, you have to also truly give them their independence. If you call them an independent advisory board, for example, you need to ensure that they are independent. They have to come to meetings able to speak their mind to the chairman of the board, to the MD of the company, to all the entire management team of that particular company. They should be able to speak their minds. They should not be afraid, And when you also see a board from a perspective of, this person is my friend, you cannot run that kind of a system purely based on friendship or even family. If you are concerned about profits, if you are concerned about the shareholder interest, then you have to take all of this into consideration. I'm going to share a story, and this story is from the backdrop of the fact that a lot of people have this erroneous belief that when you are talking about a board, then what you are talking about has to relate only to a publicly listed company. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about companies that are publicly listed, those ones by virtue of law and all that, and also in terms of having to keep in line with, millennial corporate governance, tenets, and all that. You definitely need to have that. I don't expect a Dangote group of companies right now not to have an independent board. I don't expect GT Bank, for example, not to have a board. I don't expect First Bank not to have a board. I don't expect these kind of companies that are doing well, are publicly listed, they're on the exchange, and then they are now running the show, behind the scene. No, they have shareholders that they are answerable to. The board has to be in place. The management team has to be in place. Corporate governance structures in line with what the regulators are requiring. Those structures have to be in place. So I'm not talking about all of that, but I'm only saying that if publicly listed companies can know something that private-owned companies should learn from, then it's foolishness for, let me not even use the word foolishness, then it's just ignorance, on the part of privately owned businesses, family-owned businesses, startups, and all that who think that, we are starting all by ourselves. No. If there's one thing to learn, is to learn the fact that to have a company that would thrive, a company that would move beyond your time. I'll be talking on something else relating to companies companies, we shouldn't allow companies to die. Companies don't deserve to die. That's another conversation for another day. But the point I'm trying to make here is, if there's one thing your company can learn as a two-man company, even as a business, then you're running the ventures, for example, look at what publicly listed companies are doing. They have boards, they have experts, subject matter experts who are advising, who are supporting, who are providing strategy. Of course, they are paid. So if you're looking for something that maybe your pastor or your imam and people that may not collect money from you, you want to set up a spiritual business. I'm not talking of spiritual business here. I'm talking of putting square pegs in square holes and ensuring that your business has the drive, it has a future that it's looking towards. The vision is totally clear, and that clarity should drive you to put in place proper structure. We've had great companies like the Enrons, even in Nigeria, we had some companies that have been run over due to the inefficiency of the board, or the unholy collaboration between board members and management in terms of having to give management the room to continually make consistent errors and mistakes. And once that begins to happen, then the company is facing a downward spiral, like it's going down. There's nothing you can actually do about that. That's one of the major reasons why companies actually die. So the point I've tried to make here today is that it's important for you to have a board structure. It's also important that you get the right people in place. Do not always think about the cost. Don't be so consumed in your ego that you forget the fact that your company most times is always not about you. It's about the value that you are delivering to your shareholders. It's about the value you are delivering to your customers, and it's about the value that you are delivering to society as well. So once you have that total picture in mind, trust me, the sky is your limit. You can do exceedingly more above what you can ever ask or think or imagine. Anything is possible at that level because you have a team of the impossibles, people who do impossible things.